What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson. Um, Here we are again. Another great week. We made it, even if your week wasn't so great, you still made it. So that's something to rejoice about. My week was pretty good. It really seemed like a blur. It seemed like I was just on here like yesterday or a couple of days ago. But I am glad to be back. Um, As usual, we have a great guest here on Let's Take a Walk, Miss Amber Shonette Burwell. She is a entrepreneur. She is a author. She is a speaker and just an all around boss, if you ask me. I'm looking forward to speaking, sitting down with her and chopping it up with her about everything she has going on, everything under the sun. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
I am good. First of all, I want to start off by saying thank you for taking a moment to come on the show and sit down with us and chop it up. Um, I know you could be a billion, zillion other places, but you're here with us, and so we really, really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For those of you that may not be familiar with Miss Amber's movement, I'm going to give her a couple of seconds to kind of reintroduce herself and give a little background on everything that she has going on. All right, Amber, you got the floor.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me. Again, my name is Amber Shonette. Amber Shonette Burwell. Shonette is my middle name, so that's kind of my brand. Um, 8 years ago, I started Her Story. So that is my blog. That is what I help other authors publish under. I'm a believer. So everything that I do is from a faith based perspective. I am a mom. I am an entrepreneur. As Mike said, I am an employee. So I actually enjoy what I do. And I also help other authors publish their stories.
Wow. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Um, you're from New York, right?
I'm from Queens, yes.
From Queens, New York. Okay, but now you're based in Virginia.
Right, Virginia Beach. So I've been in
Okay.
Virginia Beach long enough to be from here. But I still rep Queens. It's kind of, where I got my roots from and, it shaped me. So I definitely shout out Queens every time I can.
Absolutely. So you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you are, like I said, just an all-around boss. Was
Thank
that
you.
always the plan, or did was there something that happened that just kind of gave you an epiphany that you had to go into the movement that you're into now, or was that always in the plan for you?
Well, I always loved to write. So probably like ever since I can remember, I love to write. But in 2012, I went through a divorce. And so I needed an outlet, I needed a haven. And so I started getting inspired just by small things. And I started writing poetry again. And I used to think that it was kind of corny. So I didn't really want to put myself out there as a poet, but it was helping me in my process. And so I started my blog on my birthday in 2013. I started my blog. And so from there came the whole Her Story movement. I knew I wanted it to be called Her Story. God had given me that. And then a friend of mine at the time that was helping me, he kind of gave me a glimpse of. So the blog is a glimpse of her story. And then everything from there kind of took off. So 2014, I published my first book. So published my first book. And then here we are.
Wow. So I'm always interested, particularly in people who write books and things of that nature. Like, what were some of the challenges of writing? I mean, I know that your book comes from a personal place. Did you struggle with content as far as what to share, what not to share? You know what I'm saying? Where there's certain things that were just too personal or too just just too much to you? Was there a struggle trying to differentiate between what to share and what not to share?
Well, for the first book, transparency is a part of her story. And so I believe that when you're healed, transparency is a gift that you get. As far as what to share, only you know that. So only the author knows kind of what to share and to what degree. For me, there wasn't anything off limits, especially the first time, because it kind of was what it was. And I really wanted to help other people kind of through their process. And again, I was healing myself. So it was important for me to share the parts that were healed, kind of expose the parts that stung, and, kind of go from there. So content for the first book came easy. I was originally going to publish just the poetry. And it was like, well, that's kind of small, it'll be like almost like a pamphlet. And so I needed content for the beginning of the book. And so I prayed about it, and God kind of laid it out for me. Share your story, her story, right? So that's what I
Right,
did. And so I talked about, growing up in New York, how I got to Virginia, getting married at 21, different things like that, fatherlessness, my identity, kind of being in my father. And when I called him at 17, and, he said he didn't know anybody by the name of Amber. So I really got really personal in the first book, and it wasn't a struggle because it is a part of the movement. And I also recognize and am sensitive to the fact that I'm here to help other people. So if I can help you kind of pull out what's in you or to share your story, then that's my assignment, and I'm okay with that.
wow. And it's funny that you bring that up because most of the guests that I have on here, one as different as they all seem to still have that urge or that spirit to help, to share what they've done or what they've gone through, to share with somebody else in the hopes that maybe it will inspire or encourage or help to heal them or to kind of make them feel like they're not alone in whatever process that they're in. Um, have you always been have you always been that type of person?
Um, yeah, I think of late, and I talk about this in the new book, my heart has expanded. So I have like a huge
Mm,
heart. And I think part of it came from being a single mom and having, I have 4 children, and they all have different personalities. And so, in order to kind of manage that, I've had to, at times kind of spread myself a little thin, be here for one, while being here for another. These are good, these ones are good, but this one is having issues. And so, I think over time, especially with what I've been through, it's helped to expand my heart. And so my heart is huge now. So yes, I do. I'll help anybody if I can, or point you in the direction to get the assistance that you need. Because I also recognize that not everyone's assigned to me. So just
right.
because you may not be assigned to me, you may be assigned to someone else that I can point you to. So that's important to me. So no, I wasn't always that way. I even talk about in my first book how I was mean at one point and very bitter because I
Mhm.
didn't understand my journey. And I always felt different. I always felt peculiar. I always felt like out of place. And so I talk about that in the first book. And so that made me very hard. So, but
Mhm.
now I'm definitely more mild mannered, and, you know, I do have a big heart.
You brought up an awesome point in your answer just now. You said that you understood that you are not able to always help everybody. I think that when we are in our personal process and we have our thing. Like you have your books and you have your help ministry and you have your entrepreneurship that spurs you on to help others or whatever. You feel like you have everything for everybody. But sometimes you have to realize that, like you said, you don't necessarily have the answer for every single person. But to make the commitment to be a part of their process to be better is just as important as you having the quote unquote answer to whatever they need. That's an awesome point that you bring, because a lot of times we talk about the people we can help, but we don't really necessarily touch on the people that we can't. If we feel like if we don't have what the person need, then we're of no value to them, and so we leave them alone. But that's an awesome point um, that you brought up. But as far as what role has your family played? Have they been very supportive in everything that you've gone through in your process of writing and kind of purging and exposing yourself in this way? Have they been
Absolutely.
supportive?
Yeah, my mom, she's not in Virginia, but she's like probably one of my biggest support systems. My children, of course, and people that I'm close to, that I go to church with, ministers, my pastors, all kind of play a role in my community and kind of helping me and even pushing me, all those that I've named, to really write the second book, which took longer than the first book, because I
Mm,
really didn't have the direction initially until last year, January 2020. And so it took a whole year to write. I finished it on December 31st.
wow. Okay. So you brought up 2020. Um, so many things have taken place in 2020. We have had a pandemic. We have had racial injustice, police brutality. We have had political crisis where, we didn't know if the former president was going to actually leave office or not. We've had people storm the Capitol building and literally break into the Capitol building. We've had so many things, and we're still dealing with this pandemic issue, and as far as getting vaccines and stimulus checks and all these things swirling around, right? How has that affected your creative process? Do you include that in your creative process?
I don't. I include what's God inspired. And so
Hmm.
I go back to, so it's been for me 7 years since I self published the first time. And
Hmm.
so in my mind, I would have had probably 2 or 3 books out by now. But there was like a part two to my process. And I kind of start the second book off with that, kind of like where I've been. Oh, I've still been healing. Oh, I've still been, in my process, because it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. You stop one, but there's something else that you may have to pick up along the way. So
Mm,
I don't include those types of things unless, God tells me to. This book, I got the title on January 31st, 2020. I was driving and I had to pull over and I was like in tears because for me, I like to kind of know beforehand, and my process isn't set up that way all the time. And
mm,
so when I got the title of the book, I'm like, okay, all right, now what do you want me to do with this, pretty much? And it was like, I didn't know how it would all pan out. So I really had to trust God in the process of writing because it wasn't what I was writing. I was writing something else totally.
oh wow, wow, wow. Yeah, that's like I said. I find it very very interesting when I talk to people who write books, because I'm a music person. I write music, songs, all that, and it seems like with the help of like instrumentation, beats, and all that, you can put your thoughts to melody. But an author, what I'm saying, you don't have a beat per se. You don't have instruments. You just have I guess, the rhythm of your mind, I guess you could say. Um, wow. Was it hard to find, or do you have a process of a writing process of, where places where you write, places where you meditate, or does it just, like you said, you got a thought while you were in your car. But as far as thoughts in the creative process, does it flow freely through you, or do you even have a process for that too? I guess if
Um,
that makes sense.
it does. So I have to outline first. And so I start with the outline process of my chapters and then build that out. And then I kind of go from there. I pray. So I have to pray before I sit to write. I'll have worship music on or something like that because my mind really has to switch and be focused on what I'm talking about. I tell people when I coach them to give it like 30 minutes a day. I don't always follow that. And so I think my process takes a little longer because,
Hmm.
I can get lazy if I be honest, with
Right.
just the whole thing. And then just knowing when to stop, knowing when, okay, that chapter's done. Okay, talk about this. You may not be all the way ready to talk about this. So it is a process for me, especially because I'm a thinker and sometimes I'm an overthinker as well. So I put a lot
Hmm.
into it. I don't understand, not to discredit anyone that can do it, but people that write books in like 10 days, because I have to sit, I have to meditate, I have to, make sure that the chapters look right to me. And then I start writing. And then I go back and read and read and read and read almost to the point of memorization. And then I add to what I've read. This time I was really forthcoming with people that I'm kind of close to. So at church, people that I knew that I went to church with before, and I shared with them, and I asked, "Can you, write a review for the book?" Because this book is just so different than anything I've ever experienced and anything I've ever written. And so I wanted to, share it with other people to make sure I wasn't crazy. Like, okay, what do you think about this? Because the topic was so different and
Hmm.
so eye-opening to me and so close to me about being enough. I am enough. That statement in itself, period. You could put a period at the end and that's it. And so
Right.
I wanted to do a lot of different things this go round because what's happened in these 7 years has been different for me since the first book.
Wow. So, do you have any literary influences? Do you have somebody that you look to? Do you have a favorite author, a favorite writer?
That's a good question. I can't say that I do. I do read. So I love Amazon and I'll buy books and they'll sit until I can get to them. I'm
Right.
currently reading Sarah Jakes Roberts' book, Don't Settle for Safe. But I try not to read a lot when I'm writing because I don't want
Mm,
to plagiarize and I don't want to
right.
be inspired by something I read. So is it me
Right.
or is it something that I read? So when I'm
Right.
writing, I try not to read a lot.
Absolutely. Wow. Um, what is dear beautiful soul? Can you describe that to me? What is that?
So 2020, my youngest turned 16 and I wrote her a poem for her birthday. And I started the poem off with Dear Beautiful Soul. And from there, it just like her story, it kind of became near and dear to my heart. And so when I address people in an intimate way, so to speak, I start off with Dear Beautiful Soul. And it came from that poem that I wrote my daughter last year.
Wow. So overall, what what would you like for me to take? Let me rephrase. What do you want people to take from your books after they read them? What would you like for them to? What are you hoping that I find out about you from your writing? What do you hope that I gain from reading your books?
Well, the first book, you'll learn about me. So that obviously some of that was the goal, but that's not the sum goal of who I am and why I write. Her story was started to help people heal from trauma, heal from pain. Um, I remember when I was married and there was an issue in my marriage, and it literally took me like 10 years to get over it.
Mm,
And I was married for 15 years total, including the time that we weren't together. And so I started this movement because people that deal with trauma and they don't know how to handle it, people that look at their pain as something that was sent to hurt them. And so
mhm.
the goal in totality for her story is to deal with your pain, but also look to Jesus, who is the healer of it all, and the remedy for it all. So that's the goal. So it's not about Amber. The first book tells you about me, but as I write and as I journey, it's all about dealing with your trauma, dealing with your pain, being transparent, and looking to Jesus in the end.
Wow. You mentioned earlier. That you coach people. I always find that interesting as well because from what I've been hearing just from and from researching you, you carry a lot. You carry a lot of things, whether it be the remnants of your marriage, being a mother, being an author, being an entrepreneur, and just going about the business of life. But it seems to me that you carry a lot of things, right? And but you still find a place where you can coach people to help them be their best selves. But is there a challenge for you when you're helping them? You're taking on is it a challenge for you not to take on their issues too in this because you're so used to carrying your own, if that makes sense? Is there a challenge for is that a challenge for you? And if it is, how do you have a process of kind of like not bringing that home with you?
It's not a challenge because it's not something that I do. I can coach you and help you, and not necessarily wear what you have because it's your story.
Hmm.
In the end, I do have a full plate. And it's funny you say that. I'm like, how did he find that about me? But nevertheless, but I do have a full plate. And I have, learned to be prayerful to manage it, but it does get hard. But as far as other people go, that's your story. And I tell people that when you get to that part of your story, whatever you're sharing, and it gets hard, process through it, feel it,
Hmm.
cry through it, whatever you have to do through it, and then move forward. So I try not to wear that. I am a feeler, but I try not to wear other people's burdens as much as I can in the coaching process. Now, personally, that's different, but in the coaching process, no, because I'm your coach. So I'm there to kind of help pull out of you what's in you. And that part, I'll do that forever because that is part of why I am alive, is because
Mm.
other people have stories to tell and they need someone to help them tell their stories.
In the midst of everything that we're experiencing now, as far as the pandemic and all that, and I ask this question sometimes. Um, it's it's I'm of the opinion that in this season, like more than ever before, we've actually had, and I use the term choose a side, but I realize that that's not really a good term. Whatever position or platform that you stand on, never before has it been more important that you make it clear the position that you stand on in this season, because you got people on this side, you got people on that side, you got people that want this, you got people that want that, but I assume that everybody wants peace. And never before has it been more imperative that people make their positions clear. Um, we look at things like George Floyd, and we look at things, like all the different things that have happened, particularly with race relations and things of that nature. This is a question that I share with people, and it's kind of an odd question. But have you felt like in this past year or two, that you've had to be more black than you ever been? And what I mean by that is, have you had to, do you feel like you've had to um speak out as speak out not just as a person that wants peace or that wants a good life for yourself and everybody else, but as a woman of color? Have you found that in this past year and a half, 2 years, that you've had to be more cognizant of being a woman of color than you ever have?
I haven't personally. I've kind of taken a bolder stance on my job, just because you never know who you're around, and kind of their views or feelings with just the climate, but not personally, because I'm Amber and I'll always be Amber and I'll always be a Black woman. So I haven't personally had to like feel like I've had to like, I'm here or make my presence known, because I am who I am, and I'll always be.
Wow, that's awesome. I I often ask that to people because I'm always curious to know, because like I said, never before in history, in my lifetime I should say, has it been has has race been more prevalent than it is right now, particularly how we've been dealing with different things. A lot of things have come out. People, we find out people have said things behind the scenes that other people have recorded, and now our favorite actors and our favorite singers, we find out, are saying things that are offensive to you know whatever, and you just never know. But it can be it can be challenging, particularly for, I'll speak for myself. There's been certain times where it's been very challenging for me as a black man. Um, with two sons, I have two sons, and it's tough because you don't necessarily know what to tell them, because it's like you tell them to be polite and respectful, but you look at the news and people are being polite and respectful, and they're still getting the short end of the stick. So it's kind of like it can be very frustrating. Do you ever, when you're coaching people, particularly, I'm sure that comes up in the midst of some of the coaching that you do. Do you ever feel like when you're encouraging people that is that is kind of like lip service? It's because it's like just stuff just keeps happening, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to just say hold on. It's hard to say that it's going to get better. It's hard to say, you know, the right thing. You know what I mean? Do you ever have those moments where you feel like you're just Charlie Brown in it?
Well, those that I've coached so far have all been believers as well. So they have their relationship, um, their prayer life, etc. And so my job always is to come in and let's get this book finished. Um, so many people want to write, want to start the process, and just don't know how to start that process, to outline, etc. Or they've had a book on the shelf for many years and never did anything with it. And so that's where I come in, aggressively helping them to finish that. So I haven't had to encourage on that level where I've had to literally pick someone up, but If that ever comes, you know, I'm up for it. If that's a part of my job at that time.
Okay, let's kind of shift gears a second. Um, Taking away specifically what you do and just being a person who is doing something on their own accord, meaning like being an entrepreneur, small business owner, whatever. What advice would you give to somebody who is trying to write a book or trying to create some type of project or anything, in that realm? What's the best advice you think you could give them? Or what would be the first bit of advice you would give to a person?
The first thing would be to know your why. So
Mm,
why do you want to write a book? A lot of things are the thing to do, you know, at times. And so you have to know your why. Are you called to be an author? Um, Everybody has a story, but is being an author your specific assignment in life? So definitely know your why. That'll help you, and then make sure that you have forgiven. Your heart is clear, so that you can write freely and write effectively.
wow. So what would you say is the most common misconception about you?
That I mean, and quiet.
Mm. Are you?
I'm not. I'm neither. I don't typically speak a lot these days because I know where God has brought me from. And I was sharing this with my my pastor the other day. She and I were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, I appear quiet. I'm not, but um, you know, I kind of know where I've come from, and so and those that know me intimately know, you know, I'm not. I'm actually kind of funny. Um, you know, I've had people,
Okay.
credible people, tell me that I'm funny. So yeah, that's not a side everyone sees,
Tell
but
me a
I
joke
am.
then. Tell me a joke
No, I'm not like a joke funny. I'm like,
I'm just messing
I'm
with you.
quick
I'm
witted
messing with you.
funny. I'm like more of a, you know, I'm witty, I guess.
Nah, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Shout out why don't you shout out your church and your pastor?
Pastor Jeff Whitaker, Pastor Wendy Whitaker, All Nations Worship Assembly, Virginia.
Okay, I know them. I don't know them personally, but I know who they are. I've seen them do stuff together. They're really dope, really dope. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what's up? What's coming for you? What do you have in the future? What does summer 2021 hold for you?
Well, the book is in production. I'm Enough, which is volume 2 of A Glimpse of Her Story. So it's again, it's a continuation that's coming this spring. We're just
Hmm.
wrapping up production. I am in the process of writing a children's book with my grandson, and it will be called Big Moss House. So kind of loosely based on us. Um, I believe in legacy. So I am working on that, looking to gather authors in like a book club of some sort or something like that, to kind of really talk through the process, like we were saying earlier, the behind the scenes process before you even start typing process. So looking to do that as well. And yeah, my website is coming as well once the pre-orders start for the book.
Let me back up for a second. Writing a book. Um, how, what do you find nowadays is the best way to market it? Like I know with a singer, they create a single, they release the single, we like it or we don't, we buy the single, and that kind of like
Mhm.
wets our whistle for the entire project. But I'm sure that that's different for the book writing process. So what what if especially if I'm a first time writer, what's the best way to get my books out there?
It just
I can't. You kind of muted. I can't hear you.
hang on.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Of course, your social media. So you want to blast it on your social media. Definitely any opportunity that you get to speak about who you are, your book, like this, a platform like this
Hmm.
is great as well. um, you know, Having a book launch. And these are all the things I didn't do the first time. So I will be doing
Hmm.
this go round. You definitely want
Okay.
to formally launch the book, introduce the book, tell about the book, read from the book, have a book club or something, read the book again, because you definitely want people to get to know you as an author. Put your face out there, so get you some good pictures and things like that,
Hmm.
because you want people to know who you are. Again, all things I didn't do the first time, but I'm doing this time. So definitely not be fearful to push your book out there to the right audience. And that's a whole nother question.
Once 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 you completed the first book, were you fearful about doing another one? Because like sometimes like we pour we have something that we want to do, right? And we pour everything into it, and then we give it our best, and at the end we kind of feel emptied out, kind of like our our cup is empty because you poured it all out. Were you ever afraid that your cup was empty,
Not
that your cup
empty,
would be empty?
not empty. Part of it was fear though of doing it again. And I referenced that when I start off the second book. It was fear,
Hmm.
it was procrastination, it was, being all over the place. What am I going to write about? Because, especially when you're an inspirational writer, you got to find
Hmm.
inspiration, right? So
Right.
that
Right.
was part of it. Is, okay, I could write about this. Oh no, I'm gonna write about this. And then when I settled myself, um, it came like that. And then the flow came, and that's how it works for me. I can't write if the topic is off. And so
Hmm.
once I got the I Am Enough in January 2020, it flowed. Took a while, but it flowed.
Wow. Wow. Tell me. I asked you what was the common misconception about you. Okay, what will people be surprised to know about you? Like, and what I mean by that is, like, sometimes I have people on and they'll tell me that they have some type of special talent that nobody knows about, or maybe some type of quirky personality trait, like they're super competitive or something like that. What will people be surprised to know about you?
uh, um, that I used to be, and this is like way back in the day, I used to dance a lot. I don't dance no more because my rhythm seems to like be doing something crazy these days. But yeah, I had a mean two step.
Really, really.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Um, so again, we are on Let's Take a Walk, and we're sitting down with Miss Amber Shonette, and we are talking about um writing. We're talking about being in the creative process. We're talking about being in the creative process in the midst of um life. We're talking about reaching out to help others. We've kind of went all over the place. We talking about the family aspect of it, and Amber has really been transparent and shared things with me that I didn't know, and so now I'm absolutely learning the process. She makes me want to go get off here and get a notebook and start writing some stuff down.
Or
Some
your
stuff
phone.
down.
I wrote my
Yeah.
first book in my phone. So
Wow. Do you have a journal?
I do. I have a lot of journals. Yeah. I'm a
Wow.
journal hoarder.
Wow. So how important is it to chronicle your thoughts? Like you you said you have a journal. Do you draw creatively from the journals, or is that something totally separate, or is that just for you?
It's separate. It's for me. It's more of a devotion thing.
Hmm.
Kind of where I'm at, emptying myself, having that outlet. But writing wise, it's a lot of meditation that goes into me actually starting to sit down and type, and letting it flow. And then I'll go back and read and really not know where I was in my thought process, because I'll read it like, who wrote this? Humbly speaking, but it's like, wow, God is amazing, because it's literally him through my fingers. And that's always my prayer. Like, okay, you speak through me. I'm enough now. What are we going to do from here? Because like I said, that was totally not the direction that I was going in.
Wow. Do you have any memorable moments where like somebody was like, Amber, I was gonna make a bad decision, but something that you wrote or something that you said turned me away from that, and so now I'm here because of you. Have you had one of those moments yet?
Not because of me, but the reviews from the first book on Amazon, the reviews that I get on my blog. A lot of people that have watched me grow up from New York, that read my blog, etc. Those people, like, wow, and just really just me being committed to writing. My blog is something near and dear. I haven't blogged in a few months. I just saw the other day, but it's something near and dear to me, because I was just committed. Like, on my birthday in 2013, I'm gonna start this, and I did it. And so that's something that's always really, really personal to me, because it's helped me to grow, especially as a writer.
Mm, that's pretty awesome. So once you so you've completed one book and you started the process on another book, and you're working constantly creatively. What does it do for you personally? Like, you're constantly giving, pouring out, so that other people may be influenced however they're influenced. But what do you get out of it? What is how does it help you?
Well, I'll always write. It's my haven. It's one of the things that help me to heal. So I will always write. Just period. Um, regard.
You're muted again.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hmm.
So yeah, I'll always write. And I'll always write with others in mind, especially their process and their stories in mind, and their healing, because healing is, inner healing is important to me.
Tell me, this is a personality question. Are you are you the type of person that stops to admire your work, or are you the type of person that once you finish a thing, you're on to the next and on to the next? Are you that type of person, or are you a stop and smell the roses type of person?
Um, I, One of the quotes from my latest book is, giving yourself a commendation for a job well done and a job almost done. So I'll read to the point of like editing and making sure it flows, but I won't like read it every day. Or if I need to be inspired and it's, months down the line, I'll read my books again. Um, but I'm always trying to stay innovative and kind of do what's next. And so, and trying to be prayerful within that, okay, what's next as far as my writing goes? Because I want to evolve. I don't want to stay at the same level. I don't want to be here 2 years from now on the level that I'm at now as a writer. I want to evolve. And so, whatever that means for me, whatever I need to do, either personally or professionally, I'm willing to do that. because your craft is constantly evolving, so you should evolve with it.
So are there any other pursuits that you have outside of the literary vein?
um Not right now. I want to see kind of where this goes, as far as like even the coaching and the writing. I do want to start a podcast or YouTube, because I think, in addition to writing, your voice is important as well, and that's
Hmm.
something that I've had to come from behind the pen and speak, because I have that on my life as well, and I'm just getting comfortable with my voice. I probably won't go back and watch this, but I'm comfortable with my voice. I'm more comfortable.
Well, as we speak, it's playing on your page, so all your friends are probably
Yeah,
watching this, and they're probably
yeah,
going to tell you everything.
yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
That's really dope. This I tell people all the time. This show was birthed out of the pandemic, so to speak. It was something that I've always wanted to do. Like, I'm always curious about what drives people to do the things that they do, but particularly people who may not have that household name that we're used to hearing and that we know of as soon as you say it. I'm interested in knowing what the Amber Shonettes do. You know what I mean? Like, what's your process? How do you get to the point? Because everybody starts off as an Amber Shonette, and then they become whatever they
Mhm.
become. And so I'm always interested, because it encourages me too to kind of do some of the things that I'm doing in this show in particular. So I've been doing it since like September of last year, and I've
Wow.
had almost 50 guests almost.
Wow.
Um, and I've had a diverse group of guests, from doctors, pastors, nurses, artists, comedians, the whole nine, and I'm just learning so much. It's just been so exciting for me. So, like, I say that to say that if that's a vein that you're venturing to, it's very it can be very enlightening and very educational, because you meet so many different people, and like I alluded to earlier, even though their stories are different, some of the things always are the same. They always revert back to saying they want how much they want to help people, what they do. They want whatever it is that they do, they want to help people, they want to assist people, they want to heal people, they want to push them to be their better self. And so, like I said, if that's the vein that you feel like you're being led to be in, then it's absolutely a great way to go if you're the type of person that likes to learn and likes to listen. This is almost like reading a book to me. So with that being said, I encourage you to do that, not to talk you to death on
Thank you.
that. But this is we're on Let's Take a Walk, and I'm here with Amber Shonette, and we've talked about the books that she has out. We've talked about her creative process. We've talked about her family and her life. We've touched a little bit on her family and things that drive her to do what she does. And I'm absolutely learning, and I'm sure that the people out here that are listening are learning as well. Um, I am an aspiring book person, writer. I want to write, and I want to inspire people, and I want to be transparent. And I feel like my story is worth hearing. I feel like my story can help people that are going through things that similar to my situation. Um, but I just don't know where to start. I don't I don't have a mentor, so to speak. I don't have that person that tells me step by step what to do. So basically, all I have is just myself. But I see Amber Shonette on Let's Take a Walk. How can I get in touch with you if I have questions or I need advice or I just want to know, how did you get to the point where you're at? How can I get in touch with you?
So okay, so is it two questions? How did I kind of get here, or the internal?
Well,
I
the
want to
question
make sure
is,
I'm
well,
answering
I'm
it right.
I'm I'm speaking like hypothetically. If I'm a
Yeah,
person that wants to do this, and I see you, how would I get how would I be able to get in touch with you to kind of get some advice, or maybe ask questions on how you got to where you got? Where can I hit you up and say, hey, I got questions. Can I run
yeah,
some stuff around
yeah, definitely. Facebook, Amber Shonette. I have a her story page as well, her space story. Instagram, Amber underscore Shonette. My website, like I said, will be done soon as well. Or email is good. I don't know if you can put it, but it's her story coaching at gmail.com.
you? Is that case sensitive?
No, just do all lower, all together. Her story coaching.
Her story is one word.
Yes.
I'm sorry, her story coaching, you said?
Yes, at Gmail.
Okay. There you go. Okay, this is this is a question that I ask all my guests. I just want you to, and when I ask you, I just want you to take a second, think about it, and just give me the most honest, transparent answer that you can possibly give me, okay?
Okay.
All right. The question is, in your life, what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? When you hear that word success, what does it mean for you specifically? What is success for you?
Success is those that I birthed, my legacy being blessed, and their children being blessed. That's success to me.
Wow. Straight to the point. That's what I'm talking about.
Now I'm like, well, what is he gonna say?
Is there anything that you would like to share um, outside of anything that we've talked about, or if you want to retouch on something that we've talked about, please feel free.
Nothing specific that I want to share. I think we touched on a lot. You asked some great questions. So
Thank you. Thank you. I want to tell you, thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I know that you're very busy, and you have a lot of things on your plate, and you could be doing a lot of other things, but you're here with us, and so I really truly appreciate it, and I look forward to having you on again in the near future.
thank you.
Um, I want to do some. I want to do some panel themed episodes in the future, and so I've spoken to several different um, authors on this show, and I would love to like get you and a few others to just kind of like bounce stuff off of each other. I'm very interested to see how that would
Yeah.
turn out. But again, I thank you, and I appreciate you coming on the show, on the platform.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. I appreciate you as well.
Absolutely. And I wish many blessings on you and your family and your ministry and
Thank you.
everything that you have going on. Um, and that's really it. I thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, you have a good night,
All right. You as
and
well.
thank you again.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
You too. All right. There you have it. Another episode of Let's Take a Walk, featuring Miss Amber Shonette Burwell. She is an author, a entrepreneur, just a life coach, a speaker, and just an all around boss. Um, there you see on the screen. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out to her, maybe ask her a few more questions about um, her book, or maybe you have a platform that you think that she would fit on, or maybe you want her to speak, or whatever. Please hit her up, and chop it up. That's what this show is about: making connection with people who wouldn't ordinarily have the connection to connect, I guess, if you could say. But again, I thank you all for coming out, and I appreciate y'all. I will see you guys next Friday. All right, and we'll have another great guest. With that being said, you guys have a good night, and let's take a walk.